Welcome to the station, a podcast from the Arkansas Business Engine where 4, maybe 5 business owners sit around this table and discuss all things, anything business. I am here joined with my comrades and also Mr. Blake Goodwin, who I'll give the introduction to in just a moment. With us, we have David Hobe, our resident lawyer. We have Felicia Hood, our resident finance expert, and we have Whitney Hickerson, our local. What do you experience there? What is your profession?
Writing and messaging strategy.
Okay. I thought you were going to go across the board. You got a lot of different talents, and so I thought we were just going to add in there. Okay, so, and of course, I'm Ty King. With us today, we have Kevin Blake Goodwin, KBG. As I said, this is going to take me about 15 minutes to introduce you because this introduction is long. He's a progressive fingerstyle guitar player from Conway, Arkansas. He is the 2015 Canadian Fingerstyle Guitar Champion, an international guitar competition held annually in Kingston, Ontario, and the winner of the 2016, 2017, and the 2018 Guitar Awards competition in San Antonio, Texas, the longest-running guitar competition in America. He is the founder of Fretmonkey Records, a popular international fingerstyle guitar community spanning 11 countries whose mission is to create a career-changing opportunity for musicians across the globe. He is also the owner of Fretmonkey Studio right here in downtown Conway, where he is a producer and studio engineer. He's an active member of the Recording Academy. Also was, I guess, known for being part of the Grammys.
Yeah.
His electric album Dissonance was released in late 2018 and featured notable electric guitarists including Jason Richardson, Felix Martin, and vocalist Shaylee Bourget.
Bourget.
Oh, God, nailed it.
Yeah.
Former lead singer of Mice and Men. The album's short film companion, Dissonance, the short film simultaneously released on Amazon Prime, Amazon Video on Demand, and Vimeo on Demand, and received laurels in the short film documentary category, the USA International Film Festival, Barebones International Film Festival, and won first place in the experimental short film category at the Indie Gathering International Film Festival. He holds a number of high-profile endorsements and was honored with the Kevin Blake Goodwin KBG Signature Series 7-string acoustic guitar manufactured by Mason Guitars in China. His music is a blend of haunting jazz, gent metal, and rock melodies coupled with traditional percussive fingerstyle guitar techniques. His music has been described as Tosin Abasi meets Andy McKee. The next thing in progressive fingerstyle guitar and the 21st century musician who possesses outrageous guitar skills, end quote. Is that about covering? Is there anything else to add here?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that when I said that.
Right.
That's about it, yeah.
Well, Blake, it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
And so we just wanted to bring you in. You know, you're known here locally for Fretmonkey. I didn't know that you had all these other great accolades to attribute to your name. But we want to hear more about Fretmonkey. How did that get started? How does that look, in today's world, running a music studio? And I'll give you the floor.
Sure. I guess we'll just start how Fretmonkey began. Sure. And that was based off, as you heard earlier, was that big 2016 or 15 win off the Canadian Guitar Festival competition that I did. And that put me in a place around, I guess, like-minded musicians that were either really talented or have already previously won other big guitar competitions. And throughout that year, I started traveling to multiple events and was just surrounded in that entire environment. And we had the bright idea of just making something a little bit different instead of like a record label, but we just try to focus on honing the community of guitar players of that genre into one. So throughout a year's time, we had built, we just built a kind of a personal studio at the time. And I flew around to events and started connecting these guys. And basically what we did in about a year's time is create a international and national community of guitar players. And what that consisted of was guitar events under our brand throughout the entire world. And as we grew that and we made our presence known at like certain conventions, which is like NAMM is a big one, which is the National Associations of Music Merchants, where about 100 to 200,000 people gather from all over the world. We started going every year, making our presence known. And as that developed, we started hosting festivals, and then also basically kind of acting as not really the managers, but like kind of the in between like guitar manufacturers, any type of endorsements for the artists. And so we would try to like get that collectively going for all these artists and making these relationships happen, which led up to like tours with these certain partners and things like that. And then when we fast forward throughout the years, I've always had a dream of having a downtown recording studio. And that was something I was like, man, one day I'll have that. But I didn't really, at the time when that particular spot opened up, I really wasn't even in the market or looking for that. And it was just like literally a phone call that I made just out of the whim to when I saw the for rent sign, and the rest kind of just took history. Just had quite a few blessings that just kind of fell in my lap. We opened that place, and then we started focusing here locally, which we had never really done. We never really focused on our own hometown, because we just didn't think that would be a need for that. But it turns out to be it's been a great process of just working with such local Arkansas like talent. There is a ton here, and I guess the year leading up to opening that studio, I started doing things in the community, such as hosting open mic nights and things like that, just to kind of plug in. And I had I have musician friends here, but one thing that I was passionate about was providing a place here for musicians to come and just demonstrate their talent. And Kings, I paired up with Marcus over at Kings, and that just started taking place. So by the time I had the studio open, I already knew like half the musicians, at least in our local community. And from there, as word started getting out, we started getting more engineers and producers. And I got just about 5 months ago, I hired a new producer who's basically he's had several top 100 hits throughout his career span. He's worked with Rick Ross. Some of his music's on the radio with Rick Ross. And like I took a chance on him and didn't even know that. Like that was just a blessing that fell in my lap, and I'm like very grateful. But it's like we span across multiple genres in our studio. So whether it's country, rock, rap, anything like that, or even what I've been focused on recently, which is like a lot of film score stuff with certain artists. It's just been a very cool experience, and I think people really enjoy that. Like when they come in, they don't really know what we are like until they have the time to come in and either come check out our place, or they have to look us up on the website because it's just so vast of what we do.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to think of anything else to add to that.
We said you always dreamed of having a studio that's in downtown. Yeah. Was it specifically downtown Conway, or why did you choose Conway to open your studio?
Well, I'm from here.
Okay.
I moved here from Texas when I was 11. I always had this dream of like a recording studio, a coffee shop, a place for people to play live. And I always thought it'd be cool. Like I had this weird vision, and it was years ago. I was like, it'd be really cool if we can make this like a communal spot where musicians can come in and they all can either write or work. And like that is literally about to happen. Like I can't believe it. As we're launching the new nonprofit, we are opening up a coffee shop, a communal space for engineers, producers and creatives, for songwriters, videographers, photographers, and we're making it basically a big, massive complex. And then right behind all of that, is that we're also going to be doing a ministry with that, which I'm very excited about. So it is a faith-based place. We always want to be a light, especially in this industry, because I haven't stated it yet, but I used to struggle with drug addiction. I'm 7 years clean now, so I think that's something very important, because the music industry is surrounded by that in a lot of ways. So having that light there, plus all those things, I'm just like overwhelmed with just joy, because I think this could be a great thing, especially just for Arkansas in general.
So the studio is like drug and alcohol free space for musicians.
It is. It absolutely is.
Just focus on the music without all these other distractions.
That's right. And so for what I've heard, especially with having producers and engineers that's worked all over Arkansas, or just all over in general, California and LA, and that's the big thing. A lot of these studios that, it can be consumed with like, either drugs or alcohol, and we do not do that. It's a safe place here. And I mean, we worked with anybody from like 15 years old and up, and so we want to just provide that atmosphere of safety for sure, and we're all Christians and faith-based as well at our place. So that's you don't have to worry about anything like that with us when you're walking in. Like, there's just good vibes and good intentions, and we're just trying to make the best version of what you're trying to do come to life, whether it's a song or an idea or film, any of those type of things.
That's really cool.
So it's going to be sort of an incubator for creativity.
Yes.
Awesome. And if somebody, because I know you've invited people to come out to Fretmonkey for praise and worship nights and things like that. And so you'll probably have that with the new nonprofit space.
Yes.
If somebody is of no faith at all, or a separate faith, are they still welcome to come in?
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's just take it like if you're, Talk Us for Life or any of the places around here, they have a mission behind it, but this is open to the public. Mm-hmm. This is something that, and no matter what point and part of your life, there's going to be, trials and tribulations in anybody's life, and having a place that's definitely, the people are, just always encouraging and always just uplifting, whether you believe or not, that's the whole goal. Yes, we're doing worship nights. It's going to be on like Sunday nights, and we're going to do things that, cater to recovery meetings. We are going to be doing that. We're going to have a licensed therapist that is hired by Music Cares, which is a chapter of the Grammys. And so once a week, that'll be catering to musicians in recovery. So I'm excited about that. But it's open for anybody. I mean, this place is for any creative to come in. There's just obviously a few rules, like no drugs, alcohol, and the rest of the stuff as far as studio gear goes. But yeah, I mean, this is just trying to provide a light in a creative spot. Like I just imagine it'd be an answer to, if I was 19 or 20 years old again, and I saw a place like that, you can basically subscribe to this place and get a key card like a gym. Come up there and use any of the gear, for X amount of time a month, whether that's a vocal booth, a computer, a mic, whatever it is. And plus you're surrounded by like 30 people in the building. They're all creatives. You can collaborate or whatever. That would be like the dream, and you're going to be constantly meeting, people. We're also connected with a network out of Nashville who's already doing this. And they have like Taylor Swift's manager. They have all these like professional business leaders. And so we're going to be a chapter or I guess a satellite, if you want to call it, of them. So they already have the network built, so all of our website, all that stuff is going to be combined with them. So we're not having to reinvent the wheel in so many areas. And so they'll have access to all these Grammy winning, and nominated either artists, producers, mixing engineers, and things like that. So that's something else I'm very excited to bring. The actual next step for people that are chasing their music career, whether they're starting from the beginning or they're already established in the career, but there's ways for them to develop throughout the process, either with Fretmonkey or if they need to go to Nashville, we can set them up with whoever and whatever.
Absolutely.
I think that's really cool. You're talking about a young person coming in, and I think that as someone who kind of went through this industry and you went through your struggles with addiction and now you're in recovery, I think that what you're doing sets a stage to show young people that are just entering into the industry that there is a way to be successful and to be in this industry, and you don't have to do the drug. Because a lot of times if you're young and you just get into it, you may just think, well, this is just what it is. Mm-hmm. But now you're showing that it doesn't have to be like that. And so a young person just getting into that industry it's a whole different experience to get started out. They're not starting out just exposed to all that. They're starting out on a foundation that's focused on positivity and creativity.
That's right. Providing that professional also workspace with, engineers and producers that are already established makes it really serious because, if this guy, for instance, one of our engineers, he like I said, like he was working with Rick Ross, if that guy's got like either, Billboard hits and things, you're going to take this guy serious. You're going to take your money serious as well, because if you're in there, like, this guy's not going to play around, it's up to you how far you want to get. But that there needs to be a foundational, spot, because I mean, especially with social media and ways are going in music, it glorifies a lot of like drug use and things like that. Yeah. So having professional industry standards and people there to kind of push away from that stigma, I think it's going to be a great thing. And I mean, we're housed in Arkansas, which I think is going to be the weirdest spot that this is happening in. But I'm also like, I just see it. I think it's going to, be blessed. Honestly, I think so. It's just something that's been on my heart. I never thought that would come true, but it kind of unfolded on itself,
Sure, and you're bringing in new talent. I guess directing it towards this little part of Arkansas, like you said, it's so strange. Last year I had a client, we went to Nashville several times, and he was a recording artist. And
right.
We recorded with Big Daddy Weave and a few other artists, and so, but going to these little small studios like that, like they prefer the ones that are a little bit further away from the center of town.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if people recognize you and see you, they want to flock to you. And
Yeah.
so I think that's pretty cool to have it in Conway, Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
And so it brings in a new level of creativity and like your new nonprofit, helping people to incubate that and grow their ideas. And it's sort of going to encourage more people. It's going to reach more people. And so let me ask you about, you were talking about being successful. As far as an artist, what does that look like as a music artist? How do you measure success today? Because back in the day, it was how many records did we
CD
sell?
sales, that's what it was.
Yes, exactly. And now we have Spotify, so many free streaming services, and so the ways that artists are actually making money, merchandise, shows a little bit, I guess.
Well, that's changing now, I assume.
Yeah, it's consistently changing, and I ask this question, anytime an artist approaches me to, I want to make it. I'm like, well, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you want? Because there's so many different ways. If your goal is you want to have 100,000 followers on Instagram, well, you can make that happen. But success for me, personally as a musician. I would identify success as being recognized by my peers in the music industry, and I've already done that. I didn't need 100,000 followers to do that, but or it can be a financial thing because you are in Spotify and iTunes, and that this area of time where you're not generating income from that. It's going to be all about your image and how you brand yourself with either your merchandise or your touring. Well, everything is stopped, especially with COVID. There's no touring. There's none of that. So right now, success is kind of, it can be so many different ways. And right now, the successful artists I see that are still surviving this time period are doing the live streams, are consistently, having to reinvent some kind of entertainment. It is entertainment in the end of it, when it comes down to it. But like I said, it's so wide, and it just comes down to the individual. Because a lot of people and a lot of artists, and especially I would say primarily pop, hip hop, and R&B, it's all about the amount of followers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I gather of most of the experience when people come in to record. They just want to build up their following, and which in return can lead to merch sales and all those things. Sure. Or shirts, any things like that. But that's honestly, I strive for the big goal. Let's go get a Grammy. That's that's what I've always wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you get a Grammy nomination, or if you win, your price just skyrockets.
Right.
Who you want to work with. I have no doubt that one of our engineers or producers or artists we produce are going to hit one day. My mother sits on. She's the governor of our chapter of the Memphis board. Well, one day I have a feeling that's going to happen, and so I've been pushing a lot of people, to prepare. Because a lot of artists that come in and they just think, well, I'm just going to release this on iTunes and that's it. That's the only step they know, There's so much preparation for a big release. And so we're constantly having to teach any new artist that's coming in, what is the proper steps and, how to market this and all these things and how to submit it to the Grammys or how to be, active in that chapter or anything like that. So that's been, I think that's going to be the most exciting part about us launching Waymaker, is because we are going to be focusing on that, from the very bottom, first starting off to, however advanced you are in your career. We're going to have Nashville industry professionals that's going to be there either virtually or we'll have classes also going on to teach these type of things, and some things are going to be kind of like subcontractors. They have to pay for their own services through that, but
Sure.
it's available. So that's going to be the exciting part, I think.
Yeah, we had recently on this podcast someone who works with authors, and she was talking about authors. They write this book and they just want to put it on Amazon, and then what? And so she talks a lot about marketing and promoting your book, and so that's very similar. Like artists, they create the music, but they don't always know what to do with it once that's happened. The marketing aspect is a big thing, to get you, because if you're creating all this beautiful content and music or books or whatever you're creating, then how do you get that out to the world? You've got to tell people that's there. So you've got to build that marketing and build the following, build the excitement around what you're doing. And a lot of people don't know how to do that, because if you're an artist, you've spent so much of your energy focusing on your art, whatever that is. And so that can be difficult for people.
There's two stages in that. Exactly what you said. Like I noticed it when I first did my first album. Like I put years into this, and at this point I'm kind of burnt out, like and seriously. But there is a whole that the very next step of release is the most important, and that's the most work, honestly. Outside of just writing your material or anything like that, it's the next stage. You got to spend the next year marketing every single thing that you just did, all that work you put into.
So do you recommend, as far as getting your music out there, getting it published, do you recommend like the self-publishing companies like CD Baby and those types of things? Or
yeah, I mean, if you're a do-it-yourself artist, yeah, those are great ways to go about it. And the industry is turned into the do-it-yourself, and that in particularly our building, as we're saying, it is housed of like do-it-yourself artists. It's a hub for that stuff. If you get fortunate, enough to get signed with Sony or something like that, that's great. But the odds of that right now is like slim.
Oh yeah, incredibly slim.
So if you follow like CD Baby, or if you follow any of the Recording Academy, they constantly release all kinds of just information about what to do in this industry as far as like being a do-it-yourself artist with like self-publishing and all those things. And a lot of the guys now taking Grammys there's no label, there's none of that. Those days are kind of gone. The 365 deal is such a bad deal now, which back then seemed like the world to get one of those, but nobody wants that now. Like they just, it's the way of the past.
Right.
So if I'm a 20-year-old guy with a cheap guitar and some skill, and people tell me that I'm good, and I've played in churches and a few different places and stuff like that, and I want to come and get my foot in the door of the real world of music, what do I do? I mean, how do I get into the world that you're talking about through Fretmonkey?
And we get a lot of those type of people as well that doesn't know the music industry or anything like that, and we all have to start somewhere, right? I normally will try to first off, I try to just recognize their skill, and see.
So do I just show up at your door?
You could call, whatever,
Okay.
we just need to have some kind of evaluation of like where you're at, and then kind of go from there. Like, well, you probably need to practice your instrument, like, or if you're a good songwriter, it depends on their personality too. If they're humble enough to work with a producer, and things like that, to either help them songwrite, to get them in the studio, to, we got to ask them, what is their goals? Like, what do they want to do? Is it, do you want to just put out an album? Do you want to form a band? Or what are those type of things? So it's just an individual basis all the time. But it is fun to take it from that very beginning, because if you work with a fantastic producer, they can really develop your songs, find musicians to come in and record on parts, because you might not be like the strongest guitar player, but you could be a great singer. So we'll pull in all these instruments from wherever, from Nashville, LA, it doesn't matter, come record. Next thing you know, they get to hear their song back for the first time in their life. And that's like one of the most pleasurable moments, to watch somebody like, wow, like this is me, and then they're hooked. That's the cool part, I feel like.
So do you have instruments in there that you let people play, or do they bring their own instruments?
We do provide instruments. We also have like a list of session musicians as well. So just depends on, like I said, we're also fully stocked on all our computers with all the virtual instruments, stuff like that, and we're all producers, so we can do everything from very simple, piano music to full-blown orchestra or radio rock, hip-hop, any of that type of stuff.
Okay.
Then if we don't personally have the instrument, we either have it on a computer or we'll just hire it out, with one of our session musicians, or we'll contact somebody to come in and play it.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you have a kid that wants to learn how to play, right, they want to get into music, do you network with any of the local music stores here, like Palmer?
Yeah, so like
that?
Palmer's, like I send anybody that is just now learning to play an instrument, I would send them straight to Palmer's, because that's they're just like the best in the business as far as Arkansas goes, with lessons and everything. If they're advanced, then I might hook them up with somebody, that I know personally or throughout the years of meeting.
That's cool.
Great. So when artists are getting their music out there, even your studio, either way, it's a lot of marketing. Like I say, for your music or letting people know what it is that you're doing. And so, what are some things that you found that works for you, like getting new artists to come in and record at Fretmonkey, or for artists trying to get their music heard by other people? I know usually when artists record, I know a lot of them, if they're publishing by themselves, then they're also doing their own marketing, their own
Right.
artwork or something
Yeah.
else. Because creatives are creative in a lot of areas, and so do you recommend doing a one-man type show type of thing, or do you recommend having a team behind you and
Recommend a team.
pushing it? Yeah.
Team, yeah. Like, I feel sorry for anybody that has to do it by themselves. It's awful. I've done it before. I mean, and then I guess to answer the other question is, how do we market getting clients in?
Sure, because it's two sides of the same coin, right?
Sure.
I mean,
Honestly, I haven't had to push it that much. With the engineers that's hired there, we've already had like a list of clients, but just us having the downtown location, and then two of our engineers having a bigger local clientele than I did, because I've always worked nationally, or internationally with the stuff that I do, and they have really brought in more clients, especially in like the hip hop, because I did not know this, but Arkansas is so filled with hip hop and R&B.
Oh, yeah.
Had no idea, and so our studio's definitely been loaded down with that. And the other aspect is we've done a lot of events here, though. So we've done we have a big fingerstyle festival that's here, so it caters to all the guitar players in Arkansas. So of course you have, was it Mountain Home or Mountain View? I always
Mountain
forget.
View.
Mountain View that has all the pickers.
Is that Mountain Home? Which one has
I
the
keep
ones where
always
you
getting
to-
confused.
I do too.
Mountain View
think
has
it's
the
Mountain-
square.
Yeah, Mountain
the
View.
folk music.
And they
Yeah.
had one just like this past weekend. They said it was
Right.
fantastic.
Yeah. So and I've been up there tons of times. I can't remember which one it is.
one of the mountains.
It's just somebody literally was talking about it the other day. But yeah, so we get to connect with all these guitar players and things like that, whereas the other guys have been focused on the hip hop and R&B. Like one of the engineers here, his brother is on was it the Box 96.7? I forget, one of the hip hop stations here. I can't remember what it is.
But
so,
Power Giant.
right, so he like shouts out all the time. So now
Yeah.
we're just getting an influx of customers, and then like when COVID happened, it was very interesting because it was just like everybody just wanted to get in because there was nothing to do, and I had to like shut down the studio, and it was awful. Like it was like the best customer basis like happened. I was like, oh my gosh, like this place can be booked all day long, but no,
So are y'all back open now?
Oh, we've been open. We like soft. We kind of just didn't tell anybody. We just took on like our own personal clients that we knew, like you're good, like. No, we just kind of just opened back up, and over time, and then so the studio's been doing pretty well, and then of course we do videography and things like that, and so we get hired to do music videos and
Oh, good.
so
Okay.
all that stuff.
So you have in-house videographers, and we'll say, so is it for people that come and record at your studio, or can people just hire you to come
It could
in?
be. It could be businesses or anything. Like yesterday, we Silver Lake came in. They needed to do a voiceover.
Sure.
And they needed an emergency
Oh,
voice.
awesome.
Yeah. So we do all that stuff. If you need voiceover stuff or podcasting, live streaming, any of those things, and now we have a new team that's working with us, Bear Spear Films. So I will. Do you know them?
Yeah, I was supposed to meet with him last week, but his brother got sick or something. He couldn't come
Keith?
again, but we're going to reschedule for later on.
Well, they're in our building.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, so
Okay.
when you go to the Waymaker Deliver Hope still, they have their own office in there now.
Oh, great.
So going to be working with us alongside of us, and we'll be just now feeding our clients to them. Like I said, we wanted to house like all these creatives. They worked with me on my own personal film when I did it, and those guys are just fantastic, great guys, like in their field and personally.
Great.
Yeah.
So the Waymaker Studio is going to be in the building that Deliver Hope was in?
Yes.
Are they moving, I guess? And
They're
you'll be
already out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're taking the downstairs?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I
Downstairs
have-
location?
Technically, it'll be the Deliver Hope side. There's my building right now, and then Pete Tangway is building a venue that we're going to be partnering with as well. So he's going to be doing live events. Our studio will be outfitted to record or any of that type in that big studio space because it's got 14-foot ceilings. It's going to be acoustically treated.
We'll have to come in there. I've never been in that building before.
I haven't either.
Which one?
To y'all's building in
Yeah.
general.
Oh yeah.
And for anybody who doesn't know, so he's on Front Street, correct?
Yes,
You're right
Front
across
Street.
the street from First Security Bank on Front Street.
Right, that's correct.
So right down the road from King's and Fobby's, so it's a pretty good location.
Right. I can't wait to get some coffee.
Me too.
Me
So
too.
that's where
Right.
anybody can come in. Like if kids from like Hendrix or whatever wanted to come in, they could come into the coffee shop. And
Oh
sit.
yes,
It'll be
yeah.
like on the
It's gonna
bottom
be.
floor.
Yep, that's right. It's gonna be like we're gonna change up the building just slightly, but it won't be all mirrored glass and stuff, so you can see in and all that. But basically, the design of the front of the coffee shop is going to be very loungy, kind of like just velvet couches and things like that. It's even got a bank vault in there, so which is actually going to be a dual purpose. It's going to be a local booth.
Okay.
We're going to pad it up,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
great
also
for
you
that,
can go
yeah.
in there and chill if you want to, right? When it's not in use. But we have a 1940s baby grand piano in there, so if we need to do
Yeah.
like worship sessions or if
Sure.
somebody wants to play while we're chilling, it has a conference room and a writing room in the front as well. So that's going to be really cool. But yeah, it's open to the public. And then the back half of that is all going to be the co-working space where the videographer Studio B and the workspaces and the photography room is all going to be in the back half. And we're going to connect it here in the next month or two to make it one big complex with the current studio that we have now.
Wow.
That's awesome. I didn't
And
realize
ambitious.
that was so big.
So how do you see, I mean, you were obviously growing into this nonprofit, which has a lot of different facets to it. Where do you see like Fretmonkey going in the future? What's like your goal? I know you want a Grammy.
Well,
Personally, but like-
I think Fretmonkey will acquire a Grammy just because I know how determined
Sure.
Alicia is, and she's my mother, and she's on the Grammy board.
Yeah.
And I know that's like her goal. But I honestly like where I think what will happen is we'll end up getting the upstairs, and we're gonna end up have just a big, massive complex for just
Awesome.
creatives, and like, I just feel like that's what's been spoken into me, and I just think that's gonna happen. So who knows, man?
You feel like you'll stay in Conway, or you want to branch out, maybe franchise somewhere?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead yet.
Yeah.
I'm just like, let's get this
Trying to
place,
get this
let's
built
get this
out.
place
Well, I think
funded
it's
and
really cool that
going.
Conway has something like that because that's something that we've never had before. That we've never had. We had like coffee shops, like the Patio Cafe that used to be Something Brewing,
Something brewing was awesome.
and I love that. I used to
Yeah.
work there,
I
so
still
it was
got a
my
t-shirt
favorite
from
when
that
people would
place.
have live music come in there and we'd just be passing out coffee and hanging out and listening to everybody. But that was really like the only thing that you had was like your open mic night, and it was like your coffee shops. So it's cool to be able to have that. I wonder how you're having to transition since you were having like your events that you were hosting. Well, we have COVID now, so there are restrictions. So how are you trying to get more people to like see your artist, right? Instead of it just being, it's not all just social media. Like there's still people who are finally starting to like get out and come around and wanting to get out on the town and stuff. Have you thought about how you're going to be doing events for your artists to like be able to have the public come and
Well,
see
so all of
them?
our events are like we host one big event here in Arkansas, and that got canceled this year. All our events though are nationally or internationally. Like in Colombia, we have a Columbia Guitar Festival, in China, and all these places. So each one is an individual basis. And the artists that we work with, we don't really do like our events are kind of bigger, like named artists and stuff
Okay,
like that
yeah.
here. And then like I said, we were doing like the open mic nights and things like that. And I'm sure as we grow this place and then the venue side of our place and Pete's place, as it's being built, that will probably come to fruition to figure that out, because I haven't even thought that far ahead yet with all that stuff, because we
Right.
just don't know. We
Yeah.
don't know what the future. I mean, yes, bars are kind of opening up. Some are doing live gigs. A lot of them are not right now.
Right.
And I know everybody's fiending to like try to play at the
Oh,
moment. I could sense the desperation from the local artists here in Arkansas.
Well, even was it a couple of days ago, Yadaloo Festival? Remember, it was big last year.
Yeah.
And I was doing some of the promotion for it, and then this year we just went completely digital. There was no in person. Last year it was the whole, side of the river. We got the amphitheater. We had parking over here. The hotel down here was shut down so that we could use their space. And it's like this. Now this year it's like we're just streaming on Facebook.
Townsend, artist here. Do you know her? Yeah. We did the video, so we were on the Yadaloo Festival.
Oh, good. I know that. I know you're part of it.
Yeah. So we did a duo for the Yadaloo, but I think the benefit though that I would say that like maybe that COVID has had is giving me the opportunity to really like network throughout this season. I've got to meet a lot of relationships that I've wanted to manifest, but it never happened because of like the busy lifestyle of everybody. This year I've got to connect so many dots, like with Susan and Cliff and all them, and that's been like such a blessing. Or Townsend, we've always kind of mutually knew each other, but now we got to work with each other, and so I think there has been a lot of benefits with just connecting throughout this process.
Pace of life.
Yeah, definitely.
So you said that there's so many artists that are hungry to get out and play, and they just can't right now because the venues are all shut down. If I'm an artist and I'm in that position, what's your advice to what should I be doing? Like I can't get out and go play venues right now, so what should I be doing as an artist during this time?
Well, this is the perfect time to writing and recording, and that's what I've been encouraging a lot of people, because a lot of people have their own like little home setups, and things like that, and so obviously that's where I would like focus on your writing, focus on those things, like get your content ready, get videos shot, get things. If you have this time now, spend it, unless I understand you have to figure out your financial situation. I mean, that's I know artists that's really thrive. Like somebody had told me, it's like either you can thrive in the season or you can be desperate.
So the ones that are thriving, what do you see them doing differently?
They found their niche, whatever it was. Whether I've seen artists that never really focused on social media as much, turn that around, and they got the live streaming stuff down. They got like basically performances and things going, where they've kind of created a show or something like that, and they're making their tips and things like that. But, honestly though, I feel like the best time throughout the season would be like to put your time in productive, whether that's in your, writing, recording, and production of your content, because you're not playing gigs, you're not playing these things. It just depends on what phase you are. Are you relying off gigging for your living, which I know a lot of artists are? Or is this something that you're trying to develop your career, and not just be your local gigging artist? Are you trying to make it where you have big followers and things like that? Those are the people I see, striving in the studio, that's been in my studio every week since this all happened. So it's just kind of a different, I guess, game plan. I know some people that are just hurting right now because they just strictly just play gigs, So if that's all they do and that's all they want to do, right now they're just kind of having to sit at home and go work or whatever,
Yeah.
So I have a question. If you're a nonprofit, providing a space where artists can come in and record and create, I feel like that's an industry where when you're getting started, you don't have a lot of income. Like you're struggling, you're having to work, like I'm trying to make money, I want to have money, but I don't have any. So is your nonprofit going to provide grants where you can allow these people to actually help them?
The nonprofit's going to be on the ministry side of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if they're wanting to come in and create, they have to pay like the subscription and that sort of thing. But the ministry side for like the praise and worship nights that you'll have, that'll be what the nonprofit is for.
That's correct.
So what's the point of the mission of the nonprofit?
I actually have it written up, but
let's hear it.
Well, hold on. Might be in this.
Get my speech on me.
Thanks for the question. Might have to get back with you on that. 'Cause we're still in development of that. You know what I mean? So that's kind of let me find that real quick. But if you want to ask me another question until I find that.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I might have another. No, you go because you barely spoke today.
Yeah, that's a good thing usually. So if Stevie Ray Vaughan was in a wrestling match with oh gosh, I just forgot the other name. Jimmy Page, who would win?
We're talking about a physical wrestling match?
Yeah.
Or
Physical
are we
wrestling
talking
match?
about a
Yeah.
musical
No, it's not musical.
competition here?
Jimmy Page versus Stevie Ray Vaughan, who would win?
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
All right,
Who's your pick?
I'd say Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, right.
We
He's just
agree.
bluesy.
We agree on things.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would think so.
All right.
Well, I have a question. So, a big thing about this podcast that we do is we're all business owners, and it's hard for us to have a balance or a good working balance of like family life or like for
Personal
those of us that have family. So, personal lives and business. So, what do you do to like keep yourself grounded? What is something that you've really, when you leave work and you're doing your thing, what kind of keeps you motivated, like in your personal life? What's something that you've gotten into?
Well, I feel like in personal life, I mean, I've kind of just kept a consistent schedule of what I do. I mean, whether it's, I'm very involved with my church. I work out, you know, I do it daily. I have a few course like people that I really just kind of allow in my life, and also try to relax sometimes. I just like, sometimes I just want to sit back and just be with myself or whatever. That's a hard question. I have my kids, so like, but my kids, I have one that lives here and I have one that lives down in Louisiana. So when I have them, it's family time. We do, daddy-daughter stuff, but I'm pretty active. Like, if I'm not working, I'm usually either doing like a worship band practice, or playing at the church or doing worship nights at my church or something. I mean, it's just, my days are full. So
yeah. Well, I just know that sometimes I think I've had many a times where I've come in her office and just been like, I have not been able to balance being here and being outside of here. Because
It's tough,
so much
though.
of my
Yeah.
job can still, like, everything that I do, I don't have to have an office. I mean, as long as I have my laptop and Wi-Fi or an internet connection, I can kind of do my job wherever, which makes my mind constantly think that I need to be working. So I know that I've messaged them on like our Slack channel, and it'll be like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll just be, hey, I have this thought because I've been working. And they're like, what are you doing up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning? I'm like, well, I just...
No, I know that life very well. That's
Yeah.
About a year ago, or actually when really kind of like COVID happened, that was a thing that, like I said, Alicia is one of my business partners, and we just had to like make that like something in our ground. Like, we're gonna work these hours, and not just constantly be, because that was it. It was like emails at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Always like, if we saw one of each other was up, we're on the phone, talking about the next idea or whatever, what's going on in current. And that got, it can get really just, I guess, monotonous in some ways,
It almost feels like
Burn
you're
out.
burnt out
You're
sometimes.
burnt
yeah.
out, yeah.
Like, you have this vision and goal of what you want for yourself, but I don't want that all the time. I want that every day of the week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so I had someone recently that said, like, if your office hours are from 8 to 5, then at 5 o'clock, you don't go to your doctor at 5:10 and expect them to be there. And you're not calling your doctor at 5:30 saying, like, why aren't you answering my phone calls when I'm trying to get a hold of you? You call the next business day. And, like, you need to be able to shut that off like everybody else. So that's been something big for me.
The business seems so personal to us because it
Yes.
is, it is ours. So.
And so when someone calls, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want them to think that I don't care about them or their work or whatever, because our clients, we deal with their, their businesses as well, whether it be their finances or he does their contracts and their legal work, and I'll do their marketing and stuff. And so they'll have ideas at 10 and 11 o'clock at night, and they'll message you, and then you get started those messages, and then they think that like forever those messages at 11 o'clock at night continue.
That's
right?
the hard thing to balance for me, because there are days where it's like it's a weekend, my daughter's at her dad's, I've got some time and I want to get caught up on some things, and so I'm doing some work on Saturday or Sunday, but then it's the question of, well, does that now create the expectation that I'm available to clients on the weekends and evenings? And so it can be a hard thing to balance, and then you feel guilty. Like this last weekend, I had some people messaging me, asking me questions on Saturday, and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't got back to them. And I'm like, well, it's Saturday. They can wait till Monday morning. It's going to be okay. And I had to just reassure myself that it's okay to set that boundary. And I've kind of tried to lay that out. Like, here's my typical hours, feel free to message me whenever, but, you're likely only going to get a response from this time to this time. And if I do happen to respond outside that time, that's fine. but these are when you can, expect me to be available to you for sure.
Oh yeah.
What do you
think that's
do
helped.
about intellectual property issues in there? When somebody comes in and they've got their own thing that they're playing, is there something that people sign to protect their interests, or that you sign to protect your interests, or is it so collaborative that everybody just shares? And does that make sense to you?
When nobody's sharing each other's instruments.
No,
I think it
like
was
music, when you bring in
like-
music. Let me give you an instance. And so a few years back, Limp Bizkit was having a trial for a new bass player, right? So they called in all these people that were they were from other bands, and they came in and they signed a piece of paper, an agreement, before they went into the studio. They went in, recorded their part for the bass. Anyways, turns out in the agreement it said that Limp Bizkit owns anything that they put out there.
There you go.
And so they just used that for their new album. All these new riffs that they just recorded
that's
from
really,
everybody. Yeah.
And so that's where I apologize for my lawyerness, but that's where I'm saying.
I don't like the lawyer questions.
How do you protect that
have something
intellectual
when,
property?
when people come in for the people that are coming in, or for you guys to protect the input intellectual property wise that you're putting into their projects or they're bringing to you?
Well, if they're hiring us out, then they're paying for our production, so they
Right.
they get to keep it until, or they won't get their product unless it's fully paid, anything type of thing. It just depends on the scenario, what it is. But
Okay.
if they're coming in, but they're paying, so that it kind of doesn't make sense though, because if they're paying for the sessions to record their own stuff,
But if they're paying for the sessions to record their own stuff, and somebody that's recording it hears their lyrics or their riff or their rhythms or
And
their
takes-
whatever,
And takes them and uses it
there's
for their
nobody
own.
going to be able to hear their stuff though. It's an individual session.
there's not a producer or anybody that's...
The producer, yeah, but you're hiring us, so if that producer, yeah, I guess you could sue if you had to. That'd be on that guy.
So is there an agreement that says that producer has no rights to...
That's everybody's individual, So
Okay.
if you're like, we're like a hub in a sense for producers and engineers. So I primarily deal with instrumental music, so I don't have to really worry about that as much.
When you hire a producer, are you having them sign any kind of contract or agreement saying that we agree to do this job and I agree not to take anything that I'm producing for you and use it for myself?
With through us, or
We're just if I come in and I'm hiring y'all to produce, a song for me,
right?
are we going to have any kind of signed agreement that says
It
that?
could be. It could be. It just depends. I know Pat does signed agreements, but
So you're
So
saying
certain
that's
producers
between
doing
the
certain
producer and the artist.
Yes, that
and
is-
Fretmonkey doesn't have anything to
Right,
do with those
that's
So
correct.
the producer uses your space to be able to
Yes,
produce
our-
music, and they're not your producers.
Okay.
right, they're their own producers,
Okay.
and so yes, they're available through our website as a selection, just like Nashville producers. We're now part of the system called Homes, so we have you could have hundreds to pick from that are Grammy nominated. It is an individual basis, whereas we're providing the studio space and the system for you to
Yeah, okay.
apply.
So that's between the producer and the artist.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Like for me, I don't really do the agreement type of stuff when it comes to that. But like I said, the stuff I work on, it varies. Everything is going to be different. If I feel like I need to, I would.
Do you see people that say if the same young 19-year-old that I talked about earlier with a cheap guitar comes in and he says, I've got this wonderful riff and some lyrics that goes with it, and I want to record this and put it out there and see if anybody likes it and so forth. And he meets a producer, and the producer says, yes, I'll work with you. Most of those producers, I assume that the young guy doesn't have any legal savvy to say, I need something in writing to protect my intellectual property interests. Does the producer usually have something like that they do, or do they just trust each other? And
Most of us trust. I mean, you don't really see that
talking
until
about creative types, aren't we?
yeah, you are. I mean, seriously, it's not until you get into your bigger record labels like Sony, where things like that, that really kind of kicks off, But right now, you're looking at a place that is, primarily serving DIY. I mean, we have artists that are that are famous throughout YouTube or something like that. That's got 300, 400,000, subscribers, or half a million or whatever, But I mean, I've recorded with them. I've never had to deal with any of that stuff. I mean, you're very. But as soon as you publish it, it's theirs. It's all leaked. So like, you know, as a producer, like there's several systems that we go through, like sound credits and all music, where all this stuff is registered under their name with the producer. So everybody gets their credit when CDs or marketing and sales and start coming out. Like it just automatically divvy ups to your bank account, you know. And so that's good. That's a good thing to, you know, not have to worry about. But the initial contact of the stages of writing, that's on the artist and the producer, you know. Like I always say, never sign a contract until you have somebody else look it over. Like I'm about that. So for instance, I've had to work with like managers and producers where I've had to, like, a contract was presented and it was fair, you know, but I had a lawyer look over it, you know.
Yeah.
So you're asking great questions.
And never write your own contract.
No, never.
Yeah.
Never. I had somebody actually message me yesterday, like this producer, you know, just offered me this contract, and I said, have somebody look it over first. Like, you know, that's my best advice I'm gonna tell you, because you can get like screwed. But in the recording process is not so much. It's like the owning the rights to your music. You know, those type of things is the stuff that's where the flags. Like as soon as I hear that, that's a flag. That's when we're, you know, if you want, pull up the lawyer, because you're gonna need that. But when in the recording writing space, I mean, anything's up for grabs these days. Like you put something out on Instagram or YouTube, without it being published, it's fair game.
That's what I'm saying.
It's fair game, and there's nothing you can do about it. You know, so it just depends on, you know, what your view is. Are you just trying to build content every day? Bro, be prepared to let your stuff go. You know, if you're not publishing it, you know, if you're just trying to release little clips of 30-second clips of your ideas, anybody can jack that. Now, if you have a great following, you might, you know, get shamed in the community if somebody did that to you, you know. So, yeah, the musician's world is a very artsy line.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
Right.
Okay.
Blake, it's been great. We learned a lot about music, I think. Right, Dave? You know more than what you did before? Okay.
I do. Stevie Ray Vaughan would win.
Great. Stevie Ray in a wrestling match.
Right.
He would win. Absolutely.
If you leave here today, that's all you need to know.
That's what I got out of this.
Definitely.
Of course, in the show notes, we'll have all the links of how they can contact Fretmonkey and find out more about your nonprofit once you guys are trying to launch in January, right?
We're hoping to
launch in January, so let's hope all goes well there. And as far as if they want to get in touch with Kevin Blake Goodwin, where can they get in contact with you?
You can email me at kevinblakegoodwin@gmail.com.
There you go.
There you
Easy
go.
enough, right there.
There you go.
Neil Peart in a swimming match with John Bonham. Who wins?
No part.
Good answer. Man,
Heard.
he's smart.
Thank you for listening to The Station, which is a podcast put on by the Arkansas Business Engine. And if you want to see our mugs, then you can go to youtube.com and look us up there. Is there a bottle of Cinnamon Toast Crunch creamer sitting on the table? Probably. Did I replace the contents with just cereal milk? Maybe. And so if you want to listen to us on any of your favorite places to listen to your podcast, from Spotify or anywhere else where podcasts are broadcast around the world. And we will see you in the next episode. Bye.